Hello.
It's just me or the day so far.
Hi.
I said, is it just me or does the day go by too quickly?
Yes, it did. I agree.
Let's see.
She's still here. Oh, there we go.
Push my chair back. I would think of myself this way.
And y'all usually see it before me, so.
Hi.
Go ahead. I don't see it yet.
Hey, you guys, we are back for another week of Meet a Black Mental Health Professional. And so, as we were just discussing, this is our 7th week. And so, we are excited to get started tonight to highlight another group of phenomenal Black clinicians. So, I am Dr. Tanisha Guy. I'm a licensed professional counselor, licensed professional supervisor, full-time professor, and the owner of Specialized Transformation Counseling and Consulting. And I have no idea why am I forgetting this. I think it's just a long day.
No, right. I have to write mine down too.
Yeah, it's a long day.
I have to write everything down.
That is who I am. And
I am Megan Pickens. I am a licensed professional counsel supervisor in Texas. I am exactly 1 week away from defending my dissertation. I have been saying that through this whole thing and it's almost over. Praise Jesus, hallelujah. My practice is in Arlington and I specialize in work with high achieving Black women and their partners, and that is actually what my study is about. And then also I am very interested in, I guess, working against toxic masculinity and leaning towards healthy masculinity. So that's what I do.
all right. So we do want to let you guys know that this is not intended to be therapy. And throughout this process, if you have questions for any of our clinicians, you can post those questions in the chat. Megan.
Yes, so we started this, I think that's what I'm saying. We started this because we knew that people needed to find Black mental health professionals, and since we are Black mental health professionals, we know a lot of them, and so we thought, oh, we're easy enough to find. People are on social media, online, but we found that people still are not finding us, so we just decided to start doing this free showcase to kind of help people give their commercial. And I think that it also helps that people can kind of see your personality and how you operate, kind of get some insight into you, you know, when they're looking for a therapist. I mean, I think it's very helpful to have therapy guides that have your face on them, but people nowadays are really into video. And so having this kind of interaction, I think just provides more access. So that's why we started it.
Right.
So who do we have this week, Dr. Guy?
I would love to tell you that, but my brain just froze and I can't
Okay.
have.
So we have Winifred Davis, right? Davis?
No, Winifred Bradshaw.
Bradshaw, I'm sorry. See, my thing cut off too, so I can see your first name. I can't see your last name. Chima, did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, ma'am, that was correct.
Chima Lubin, Matera Wright, is that correct?
Matera Wright.
Matera, okay. Lashon Tucker.
Yes.
Ashley
Hello.
Downs, Scott Davis, and Renee that is coming on with us to audio. So that's who we have this week. And what we will do is have each of these wonderful people tell you about themselves, and we will go from there.
Oh, I can see everybody again.
Huh?
I can see everybody again. What happened to Dr. Davis?
Welcome to live production. That's all we can tell you.
Did we lose Dr. Davis?
Oh, yep. I guess he'll be back.
Okay.
Is that the guy that went to make coffee?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he wasn't going to leave. He didn't leave
Right.
completely to go make coffee, but somehow
Oh, he'll be back.
somehow we lost him. So does anybody want to volunteer to go first? Or I'll just pick y'all like we're in school because y'all don't want to do it. So.
I'll pick Chicago to go first because that's my city and hometown. It's Winifred.
Okay.
Ah, the person who had to write everything down because I couldn't remember.
That means you're going to do it right then, perfectly.
I don't know because I just wrote everywhere.
Just tell us who you are, where you work, what your specialties are.
My name is Winifred Bradshaw and LCPC. I have a Master's of Science in Vocational Counseling as well, trauma, work with trauma, certification. I work in the Hyde Park area here in Chicago. So my specialty is mood disorders, depression, emotional intelligence. I do individual counseling, interpersonal adjustments. I don't have a full practice. I'm not full time because I work at the hospital, give my time to the hospital. And so I work there almost 12 hours when I do work. So my practice is the practice of me. And so I wanted to give some people with Medicaid some quality care. So I do take private insurance, but I also take Medicaid because before they wasn't taking Medicaid, wasn't being, people couldn't get counseling through Medicaid. And so when they were able to do that with Obamacare, then I just opened up my practice to give them that. And of course, I love private pay as well because the insurance has really watered down your fees. Right. But I want to give them some quality, but my practice is really part-time. And I do take mostly Medicaid, And I think that's pretty much the story of me.
Thank you. All right, Chima, you look like you want to hide, so I'm gonna.
Yes, kind of like the story of my life. But yes, I am so excited to be here. My name is Chima Lubin, and I have a private practice in Bradenton, Florida. And I specialize in the treatment of trauma, depression, anxiety in young adolescents, teens, young millennials. So I do a lot of individual and family work. I also work as a consultant at a therapeutic at-risk girls group home. And so I do assessments and I do group counseling, staff training, and a lot of individual counseling as well. And I do comprehensive behavioral assessments too for the courts and providers, that kids who come out of, that are being taken out of their home due to neglect or any form of abuse and things of that nature. And so I'm really excited because it's September. I'm moving into my own space. So I'm really excited about that. Like, no more sharing office. It'll just be fully me. So I'm really grateful and excited how my practice have kind of just bloomed, and how many clients that I'm, kind of getting. So I'm excited about it.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank
You
you.
got the name of our practice. What's the name of your practice? I forgot to tell mine.
Oh, my name of the practice is Kabod Counseling.
Okay.
It's called Kabod Counseling. It means the majesty of God, the essence of God, the beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
Love it.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Winifred, did you say, did you give the name of your practice?
No, my practice name is Breathe.
Breathe.
Mm-hmm.
But fitting.
Uh-huh.
I had asked God to give me a name, and little did I know this whole I can't breathe was coming up, and I did that in 2015.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, his name is Breathe.
Absolutely.
And I have a website, Breathe with Winifred. That it's a website, my business website.
Awesome. Scott Davis.
All right, sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. I am Scott Davis. I am the owner of Scott Davis Counseling Services, located here in the heart of downtown Dallas, Texas. I work with children, adolescents, adults, specialized, really, I guess you could say, with the transient individuals, because Dallas is such a big hub for people moving in from so many different places for work and whatnot. So really working with them and going through the adjustment period and so on and so forth. Also work a lot, like Chima was saying, with children that are in the foster care system and residential treatment centers and things of that sort. So I work with a lot of trauma inspired type of approaches, working through the adjustments with them as well too. Let's see, I'm also a supervisor as well. And I've been, thank you, Megan, appreciate that. And
well, you graduated from my class, so I have to cheer for you too.
I did. And I've been in practice for over 10 years now. So it's been a great journey, and always looking to learn and work with great individuals such as yourselves and collaborate. So I'm really appreciative of this opportunity to speak and hear all about what you guys have to share.
Thank you. What'd you say, Tanisha?
Oh, I was saying thank you.
Oh.
Scott.
All right, Ashley.
Hello, thank you all for having me. I'm excited to be here tonight. So I'm Ashley Downs, and I am from Louisville, Kentucky. Not Louisville, not Louisville, Louisville.
I caught that.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit about me. I am a certified social worker, CSW. And I'm working on my LCSW, my clinical social work license right now. And I'm also a certified school social worker. And so currently I'm a mental health practitioner with our local school district. And so I work mainly with middle school age children from about 11 to 14 years old and their families here in Louisville. And so that's kind of been, I've worked with all age groups. I've worked from preschool age on up to older adults over the years, and I've been in the field for about 10 years. And so kind of some of my areas of specialty or my main focus is working with youth who have, mental health challenges and disabilities, some of being around anxiety, depression, mood disorders, anger challenges, and then also working with adults as well and families. So I've had experience working with adults with disabilities and mental health diagnoses in the nonprofit sector before I started working for the school district, and also working with survivors of intimate partner violence and sexual assault for about 10 years. So doing some crisis intervention work. So I really work from a trauma-informed care lens, and I'm really passionate about whole person wellness. And so, I always preach to my kids, there's no health without mental health. And so I'm really passionate about not just focusing on one or the other, but how it all encompasses together. And so what I really, over the years, I'm a fitness instructor as well, been one for 7 years, and an avid runner. And so I really kind of fuse it together around mind, body, and soul, with using mindfulness techniques and gratitude techniques as well, because that, you know, in order to achieve goals, I really feel like, you know, you have to kind of fuse everything together, whether you have fitness goals or goals to be more positive or more positive mental health. So that's kind of been my focus. And I don't know if we're doing like social media plugs right now. So if not, I can.
No, go right ahead.
So my social media handles, I don't know if you can see it, but I'll say it too. But on Instagram, it's A Mentality Health and Wellness. YouTube, A Mentality Health and Wellness. And Facebook, because Facebook's kind of being a jerk right now, won't let me change my name. It's with A Downs. So really just tips, resources, strategies around achieving whole person wellness. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
All right. Renee.
Renee.
Hello, Dr. Guy. How are you doing?
I haven't seen you forever.
I know. My name is Renee Hunter, and I'm a licensed professional counselor supervisor. And I have a private practice. I say a limited practice. I don't like to say part-time. So it's a limited practice in Irving, Texas. And well, right now I'm just doing telehealth. So, and as far as my specialty, I work primarily with individuals, adults, and couples. And my specialty is sex therapy. So I have a lot of people who come to me that have some type of sexual dysfunction, whether it's, you name it, any type of arousal issue, erectile issues and things like that, or one partner may have a higher sex drive than the other, so they end up in my office or end up on my screen and we talk about various things.
Clients coming your way, Renee.
Huh?
I got some clients coming your way.
You send them on over. For some reason, I don't know what has happened in the past week, but somebody must have said my name somewhere because the calls have been coming through. Also, I mean, I work with other, as far as mental health issues, all the mood disorders, especially like anxiety and depression. And most of my individuals are women who are struggling with things like that. And it ends up with some sex things that end up in there as well. That's pretty much it in a nutshell as far as what I do. I mean, I can go on and on about the sex therapy, but that's about it.
Oh, we'll definitely circle back to it after we get through the initial introduction.
And as far as any type of social media, I'm on Instagram. What is it? Sex Therapy BBC. And on Facebook, under my practice name is Breathe Balance Counseling. So Winifred, I think God was talking to me at some point too, and he told me to throw some balance in there too. So that's, yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and that's it for right now.
Awesome, thank you. Harrison.
Hey, glad I was able to get on. My computer crashed, so I'm using my backup computer. Thank God for backups.
Right.
So I am Dr. Harrison Davis. I am a licensed professional counselor in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been practicing for about 22 years now. I'm also an associate professor of counseling at the University of North Georgia. I've been doing that for 17 years now. And I also have a private practice in Atlanta as well. It's called ASA, Counseling and Consultation. ASA, ASA, is the mythical African god of strength, protection, and generosity. So I really like to promote that in my practice. And some of the research that I'm doing right now, I'm currently doing research on racial trauma with Black Americans, including symptoms of isolation and loneliness and depression. And as far as my practice, I'm much more of a generalist. So I like to see adults primarily with some type of mood disorder, the typical stuff, depression, anxiety. I'm also seeing a lot of couples right now who are struggling to maintain a connection. And Renee, you talked about sex counseling. I've done some of that with some of my couples. Seems like a lot of people are struggling these days. So I try to do all that I can to help.
Thank you. I'm such a nerd and I'm super excited that you are a professor. That outside of everything else you said, I'm like, wow, there's actually a professor in our field that is a Black person, because I have not seen any.
Really? There are several.
I looked all when I was trying to start my dissertation, and I could not, I mean, I just didn't know where to look. But definitely none of the programs around us have any, which I think makes no sense. And I tell people every chance I get. Lashawn.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lashon Tucker. Good evening. My name is Lashon Tucker. I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm also a licensed chemical dependency counselor intern. I'm based here in Houston, Texas, but specifically in Humble. So right now I'm doing private practice by way of telehealth as well. Actually started doing telehealth right before COVID, and I'm glad I had already transitioned to that. I'm also a doctoral student at Texas Southern University. My private practice is called Victory Coaching Center. You can find me on Instagram at Victory Coaching Center and also on Facebook at Victory Coaching Center. I work primarily with adolescents and adults. Some of my specialties would be anger, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, life transitions, grief, stress, just kind of right around there. I work with individuals and group work as well.
Thank you.
Yes,
Matera?
Yes.
I forgot what you told me earlier. I'm sorry. It's the end of the day.
Okay. You were closer than some people get, so that's fine.
I like to say people's names right, though. So
Yeah, I appreciate it. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Dr. Matera Wright. I am a licensed clinical psychologist in Chicago, Illinois. I'm from Texas, so all my Texas people. Right now I work at Cook County Juvenile Court Clinic, and so my specialty is actually forensic mental health. So I conduct forensic evaluations. So what that means is competency trial evaluations, what other people would call sanity evaluations, parenting capacity evaluations, competency restoration, and I also have experience treating severe mental illness, because a lot of times that's what comes up when there are forensic evaluations requested. As far as right now, I don't have a private practice, but it's in the works. But I also do some adjunct teaching at Adler University, and I'm trying to think what else is going on. Also the Texas After Violence Project has posted some research that I completed, which is on the death penalty and how it affects Black families in Texas. So if you get a chance to go to their website, it's under their projects tab. And so that's what's going on with me.
that's awesome. I apologize to all the doctors that I didn't say doctor because it wasn't on your screen. And I, in about 2 weeks, will make everybody call me doctor all day, every day, because this was hard. So I apologize for missing that, because it is some work.
You guys, thank you all again. We cannot tell you that enough, because again, these are very long days. And for those of you that are viewing, you can hear how busy everyone is. Like, no one said one thing. Everyone is doing multiple ventures and helping people in different capacities. So I do have a question, and anyone, please feel free to answer this question. We do understand that obviously we are dealing with some unprecedented times. COVID was definitely something that no one anticipated we would have to deal with, and we didn't expect that it would have the impact that it has on us, and in particular the Black community. But before we could even kind of get a rein on that, then we had the George Floyd. So if clients are listening right now, potential clients, and they're thinking about going to counseling, what would you tell that potential person to maybe push the envelope to actually going into counseling to kind of deal with some of the issues that they're dealing with right now? Like maybe they're on the fence, they kind of know that they need to see someone because they're just dealing with a lot, but they haven't made the call yet, or they haven't made the appointment. So what would you say to that particular person who might be watching this video now?
Well, I can go first. What I like to encourage people to do is to pay attention to how they're reacting to things and whether or not they feel uneasy about a situation. And if that feeling is prolonged, it could be any situation. But Dr. Guy, you just mentioned a number of things, some crises that are going on. And I can remember right after the George Floyd video, a number of my clients came in and they did not want to talk about their initial presenting problem. They wanted to talk about how they were responding to the video. Because remember, that was right after the Ahmaud Arbery shooting in South Georgia, when the brother was jogging. And then we also had the brother in Central Park, New York, with a woman called the police on him because he told her to leash her dog. And so all of that created like a trauma response for a lot of individuals. And so luckily I talk to the people who come in, but I can just suggest to those individuals, you do not have to suffer. You do not have to make this part of your normal to feel anxious, to feel uptight, or to feel overly sad or worried about things. That you can actually talk to somebody, a trained professional who can help you to build your coping skills at least, or at a minimum, create an outlet for you to talk about some of those feelings that could be a little bit intense. So that's what I can do. I can encourage them to go talk to somebody about those feelings.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. And I like the fact that you use the word trained professionals to help you.
Absolutely.
Anybody else?
I would piggyback off what Dr. Davis said. I had a friend, I have really close friends who reach out to me sometimes just to kind of vent. One of my close friends was telling me that she was kind of becoming very antsy and anxious and frustrated with everything that was going on. Of course, looking at everything on social media and how it would affect her. And I told her if that means that she needs to take a break from social media, sometimes we have to take a break from the things that we look at, maybe TV, maybe watching the news, because a lot of the news that we watch these days are not, it's not many positive things on there. But I did tell her maybe you need to take a media break. Take a break from social media, take a break from TV, take a break from radio. And I told her that if she, you know, continued to have high or severe anxiety, that she definitely should seek some type of support. So I would say that to anyone, any of the clients out there, if you find yourself getting kind of sucked into what's going on social media or any type of radio, take a break. And if you still find yourself feeling very anxious and maybe depressed, then to definitely seek some support from a trained clinician.
Thank you, Ms. Lashon.
One of the things that has happened with all the things that's going on, that as the, I'm bad with names, so forgive me, with my limited, not my parts, I'm gonna use that, my limited practice, is that I usually tell people that there's a lot of people calling. I can't even accommodate half of the people that are calling. And I would say it's okay to feel not okay. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling and to be aware of what you're feeling and how you can harness that and use it for your benefit. So that's what it's okay not to be okay. And especially with everything that's going on.
Thank you, Winifred. Dr. Wright, I thought you had unmuted earlier.
Yeah, so
Okay.
a little slow with this mute button. But yeah, just to add on to what everyone else has stated, I think a lot of times, especially in the Black community, the stigma on mental health, as well as the, I should be able to talk to God about this, and if I can't talk to God about it, there's something wrong. And then the shame in admitting that something else is going on. And so what I would say is, if you believe in God, if that's what you subscribe to as far as a religious standpoint, maybe God puts the person that's there to help you in your life to receive the help. Just like God blesses people with gifts, maybe the trained clinician is the person that God has put there to help you. So don't let that be a reason that you don't seek out assistance or therapy. The other thing is, a lot of the individuals I run into have experienced so much trauma in their life. We talk about race-based trauma, as Dr. Davis was talking about earlier. And a lot of people become numb to things that their body is telling them when something is wrong, the anxiety, the frustrations. You start having these trauma responses and you're like, no, everybody around me has that response. That's what it is. But no, that's part of your health. And just like you would go to a doctor, even though, there's some disparities in as far as Black people going to the doctor, but that's your body telling you something as well. So seek out a therapist, seek out a clinician, seek out a counselor, and you just want to be the best you that you can be. That's all it is.
Yeah. I'm glad that you said that about the Christian. I do some Christian counseling, and one of the good things that, and I think it's important to try to attempt to erase the stigma behind the church. And like you said, especially with the African-American community, is that, you stay in the house, you don't tell our business, this stays in the house and you don't do that, pray it away, the depression, you're going to be okay, you don't believe God enough, that's why you're still depressed, because you're not believing enough. And one of the things that I'm part of a church that's trying to change that stigma, because we have a mental health center, and so they believe in counseling. So, and if you subscribe to Christian counseling, things like that, it's okay, because we have counselors. I'm a counselor that integrate the secular with the Christian counseling. So it can be done. There are Christian counselors out there that you can find.
Could I just add something to that? Just real quick.
Yeah.
Like when you're talking about, as far as church and as far as the Christian counseling and things like that, what comes to mind is a lot of times I would hear people say push, pray until something happens.
Mm-hmm.
So we can be too busy pushing. And so my thing is, I want you to lift, and that is look into finding a therapist. So
Look into finding a therapist.
yeah, so it's like, stop pushing.
That, Renee.
So stop pushing. I mean, don't stop pushing, but while you're out there pushing, do some lifting too. So you got a bunch of us right here to look into.
I love that.
That was good. Look into finding a therapist.
Right.
I really like that.
We won't steal it.
No, you won't steal it. I just told her to patent it. But I want to segue into that question that Dr. Wright kind of started, and then Winifred, you really led into it, because that's one of the questions we often get, is that people will say, I'm a Christian, so do I really need to go to counseling? And how can counseling help me? Because I'm a Christian and I'm just going to pray and go to church. And can I do both? Can I be a Christian and still go to therapy?
Yes. Yes, you can.
I see a lot of head shaking.
Yes, you can. One of the things, because if you, as I do, believe in Jesus and whatever you believe in, there is always the principles of the Bible, the principles of the Quran, whatever, all of those are the things that we talk about as counselors anyway. The things are paraphrased. And so you can find all of that truth in the Bible, in the Quran, whatever you subscribe to. We talk about that, those principles we use on a daily basis with our clients anyway. Half of them are already, and most of the African American community, they're talking scripture to me before I can even open my mouth. So, so I think both can walk hand in hand, and I've seen it done very well.
I wanted to kind of piggyback on that, coming from like my educational background with social work. A lot of the focus is around systems, and sure, I'm sure with other fields too. But I'm always, when I'm talking with, especially when I think about when talking with youth and their parents and their families around the systems that we have in our life that are in place, and how there's always, whatever action, there's a reaction, and one system is maybe disrupted in our lives or is of a good resource and focus, but how that impacts other areas. So I think with thinking along that lines, when it comes to your spirituality or your religious beliefs, that's just another system in your life that is of very importance. But that doesn't mean that there might need to be other things in place that can help you in a specific time in your life. And so kind of just leaning on your resources, your resourcefulness, and what is already in place in your life that is of importance to you and of support to you, and then just almost enhancing that with additional resources or support, such as going to therapy or counseling. So I think that's for me, that kind of works when I've talked with students, young people who come in and they're saying like, oh, my parents just saying this is a phase, or, you just need to go to church more and you just need to pray about it more, and just kind of, not that that's a negative, that you still use those resources in that system in your life, but then also what else can maybe help enhance to help you get back to your normal self.
And this may be a overly simplified way to look at it, but I'm happy to see that more Black folks are going to therapy, even ones from church, and pastors, Black pastors in particular, are beginning to make referrals to therapists. So I'm glad that stigma is beginning to change. But when I do have an opportunity, to talk to people, and it turns into a little debate, about whether or not they should go see a therapist. And like you guys have mentioned, God is all that I need. So some of the things that I like to talk about, suffering isn't new. There's a lot of suffering and tragedy within the Bible. But there are some themes to it where someone usually overcomes some type of tragedy or unfortunate situation. So we talk about that and how those individuals made some strides to overcome whatever the situation was. And also, I like to mention to individuals, I don't know what God you serve, but I'm pretty sure God doesn't want you to be miserable on a day-to-day basis. Does not want you to be unhappy. Does not want you to have a series of broken relationships, without you attempting to do something about it. That maybe you need to do something to change your relationship with the world and how you view yourself in this world. And if you believe that God meant for you to stay this way, then perhaps we need to evaluate your whole relationship with God. So those are just some simple things that I've said in conversations in the past.
Did anybody else? So how is everyone navigating the current racial trauma that we are all experiencing in society, and helping their clients work through that? Because one of the things that we've talked about over the weeks is how we are experiencing this and we are helping people through that experience. So how are we taking care of ourselves? And as Dr. Guy pointed out earlier, we all have, I don't think anybody said less than 3 things that they're doing, like 3 different aspects that they are doing this work in. So how are you handling that? How are you taking care of yourself? And how are you helping your clients take care of themselves?
Well, I can talk about how I'm taking care of myself because, and to be very transparent and honest, I think that's one of the helpful things, even in my therapeutic process, to be kind of very transparent and honest. I'm building that rapport and relationship with my clients. But to be quite honest, I sit in a chair too as well. As a therapist, I think that's very important that we are dealing with our own stuff. And some transferences and things of that nature. But because as a result of what has happened, it brought up some old wounds and some of my own trauma that I've experienced, systemic racism that I've experienced, microaggression, and all these things. I had to sit in a chair and be in that process to help me process through that. And so that's number one in taking care of ourselves, because there are things such as vicarious trauma or just sitting there and hearing people's pain and all that stuff. I mean, it's a lot. So it's vital and for us as professionals to get the help, to be able to sit in that space and to take care of our mental health that we so advocate for our clients. So yeah, I sit in a chair. I happily say that I sit in the chair and I'm processing that myself. Yeah.
In addition to what Chima has stated, I have really been focusing on incorporating more mindfulness activities into my daily regimen. Like, I can talk to clients about that all day, but you got to buy what you sell, right? So a lot of mindfulness lately. And then also myself and one of my friends, Dr. Christina Wilkerson, we started a group called Tea Talk. And we have it once a month, and it's all Black clinicians, anyone who's Black and in the mental health field. And we get together and we get on Zoom once a month, and we just talk about how things are going for us, because it's so different to be in the mental health field compared to other professions. Then also to be Black during this time, and then also, like she said, processing what's going on for yourself, and then also trying to process what's happening with clients, or in my case, try to work through that and realize that I'm a part of this criminal justice system, and then write these reports and then send it to judges and lawyers. So being able to have a safe space with like-minded individuals or people who understand what it's like to be in the field has been really helpful for me, and just having that space.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea, because there is a lack of services. Well, I won't say there's a lack of services for us, but I think depending upon your level of networking, because I have been trying to find a therapist for quite a while now. Part of it has been busyness, but then the other part is that I know everybody. I'm super outgoing and I do networking and all of this. And so trying to find somebody that I don't really know has been a challenge. Scott, you had unmuted.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this has been the season for exposure. There's been a lot of things that's been exposed in this world. And so what it's really producing is the fact that we need to have a lot of hard conversations, not only with other people, but also with ourselves at this time. And I encourage people to have those hard conversations. I think that's one of the things that we've been lacking for so long, is we've been very timid in being able to have these hard conversations, whether it's race relations or whatever it might be. But as of this moment in time, a lot of it is reflecting, things that are going on related to race. And so I think this is a great opportunity for us to really find our true selves and really find out about where we want to be and what we want to do within our world, within our community, within our family. As a whole. And so I love what you were talking about with the mindfulness, and really finding a great place within ourselves that we can process these thoughts, and being able to find the support systems that are out there, because I think we are learning to come together as a people, which is very important for all communities. We still have a lot more work to do, but we at least started the conversation, and we need to continue to have the conversation no matter how hard it is.
I want to add to that. I totally agree with Scott and Dr. Wright. From this COVID-19 and this pandemic and just our civil unrest, it's going on. It really forced us to kind of slow down and evaluate, and to kind of pay attention to the things that we kind of use to disassociate from our pain, and to really, taking the time to evaluate and to ask the hard questions and to have these difficult conversations, and it produces growth. But for me, I think mindfulness too is one of the things. And what I do is every day before I get up, and it's very, before I go to my phone before I go to anything, at least 30 minutes having instrumental music. And I find instrumental music with no words is something that helps to ground me a whole lot. And, before I get out of bed, I'm making sure that I'm paying attention to the birds in the sky or the sounds in my environment. It helps to bring, hey, okay, Chima, we're safe. Paying attention to my body, paying attention to what's going on internally and things of that nature. So at least every day, and I encourage my clients to do that too as well. Every day, finding something to do for yourself to de-stress and relax. Whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, do something that you enjoy. And I love taking nature walks. I love running. I live by the river walk. So water helps to ground me a whole lot too as well. And so finding something that grounds you, something that you enjoy, could be maybe a pet, or going to the beach, or watching the sunset, or doing something that you enjoy at least every day, especially as a Black community. All this hatred, self-hate can be internalized, and we have to be very intentional as a people to practice self-care, to love on ourselves, to lavish love on ourselves, especially during this time. Yeah, so definitely, majority of my clients unfortunately, they're white, and I have a handful of it's getting better. They're coming though, so which is good, but a lot of them have come and said, man, I'm dealing with we're not okay right now. And I'm like, oh, I'm so proud of that. Is amazing. It takes a lot of courage, validating their experience and validating the fact that they actually picked up the phone and called, because it takes a lot of courage, especially because we have such a distrust, which is justifiable, of the whole therapy process. So, yeah.
And I'm hearing some wonderful, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Really quickly, I was just going to piggyback off of what Chima said. Everything that she said, I was like shaking my head to, like, yes. I actually, Chima, find myself using instrumental music at the end of the day because I have listened to everyone's life and kind of what's going on with them. So just listening to like some instrumental jazz or just anything without words is really good. That's a way that I find myself de-stressing daily. And also you mentioned self-care. I was going to touch on that as well. I get massages monthly. And my massage therapist said that I have a lot of tension built up in my back, and it's because of everything that I carry. And so as a clinician, I think it's important to kind of work out, that stress or the things that we carry, from our clients. And I just recently started walking daily in the mornings, and we started this when we were still in lockdown from quarantine, and oh my gosh, it's been the best thing ever. Just taking some time in the morning just to get, just some fresh air, and I really enjoyed it. So those are some ways that I also de-stress and use my self-care. So Chima, I was right with you, girl.
Awesome.
So one of the things that I usually do for self-care, well, since we've been in the pandemic, I like to serve serve in my church. I noticed when I've done that for years. And so my service usually help me work out whatever I'm going through. So usually that's what we're doing. My husband and I, that's what we do. We serve, things like that. But because underlying conditions and things like that, I also like to cook. So I'm a home cook. And that's going to be part of my practice pretty soon. That's one of the goals. And so I find myself going to the kitchen and creating. And so since I can't serve in the service or the church because everyone's closed down, I'm taking food to the hospital, things like that with my colleagues, stuff like that. And so, and music, my husband's a music teacher. So, and I listen to my girls are singers. So I listen to them, they'll sing in the house, or we'll listen to a lot of inspirational, different genres and things like that. My husband is playing the piano or something like that. So music is a real big factor in our house. So especially for me, I blast my worship music in the car, and I'll drive and drive and, and drive. So yeah. So I'm being mindful. I agree with everyone that's saying, having an arsenal of things that you can do, that you could do on a daily basis to de-stress. Yeah.
Dr. Davis, you were going to, okay.
Yeah, I just want to add, I heard some wonderful things about self-care and clinicians, and there are a number of things that we can do, using some form of musical therapy to help out to set the tone, to sort of set the tone for your day and your environment. I like to do that. But one of the other things that I like to do in my journey to self-healing is that I become much more of an activist, because it looks different for everybody how you're going to take care of yourself. Mm-hmm. So my activist side has been ignited. So I have participated in some of the protests in Atlanta. Have gotten involved with the activism, not only with police brutality. I took my daughter, my 10-year-old daughter, to a couple of the protests, but also with COVID-19 and the disparities within the community, making things, bringing light to some of the situations, and just making sure people are aware of what's going on. And of course, we have a big election that's coming up. So I have found myself become much more energized, through all of these tragedies. And that's been a good component for me to try to take care of myself.
I wanted to see if I can, when you said that, Dr. Davis, that was like, oh my goodness, I'm right there with you. I feel like, because of everything going on initially, when it, of course, we've had a long line of hashtags and Black and brown people who have lost their lives at the hands of the police that we were all well aware of. But when, first Ahmaud Arbery, and then when the George Floyd situation, and then when it came to light about Breonna Taylor, which is in my own, city where I lay my head at night every night, it really hit me hard. And initially I was feeling very overwhelmed, and I'm like, I've got to practice what I preach, And so one thing that has helped me is controlling what I can control, and, letting go and not feeling guilty about some of the things that are out of my control that I wish that I could help in that moment. And so when you said your kind of activist side has been ignited, I kind of was able to start to put that energy towards the things that are within my reach, and that helped me kind of calm down, because at first it was so overwhelming and I felt like I wanted to do all these things, but how could I do it, and who would listen? And so just starting with my own self, and then getting with like-minded people and other people in my city to come together to do protests and provide food and support for the protesters, and practicing the mindfulness and unplugging. I think, Tucker, I think you maybe said that earlier around unplugging. I felt myself getting so consumed with everything, wanting to stay on top of everything, and that was causing anxiety. And so that's another, area that I've talked with you know, folks and clients about around just unplugging. It's okay to put boundaries up for yourself. It's not selfish practicing self-care. And sometimes you have to just, you know, shut it off and just do what you need to do for yourself. So just wanted to add that.
Anybody else? Renee, you're unmuted, or you have something to say?
Oh, well, since I am, yeah, I think I did that by accident. As far as like what like everyone's saying, as far as music and things like that, and mindfulness, and I know one thing is when I realized that I needed to sit on the chair is when I just became so overwhelmed by watching the news. It's just one newscast, and that just did it for me. And I'm like, you know what? I've been holding on to this and hearing from my clients and how they're feeling and things like that. Like you say, the vicarious trauma. And so I just got to the point, I'm like, I need to go talk to somebody, because if I don't, I'm going to blow. And I don't blow. So I didn't want to blow at that moment. And so I had to reach out, and I had to do some lifting, as I say, and reach out. And as far as like with music, I love music. So the type of music that I don't hear too much here in Dallas is house music. So I will turn on so I will turn my house music on, and I'm gone, and got my notepad, and I'm writing. So it's like I become taking that overwhelmed feeling has now become words on my notebook. So I'm becoming more creative and getting back into my writing. So that is some of the things that kind of help me take care of myself. So I just wanted to add that little piece there.
My pastor is a big house head. My pastor is a house head.
Your pastor's a house head. Well,
yeah.
There. See, that house music.
John Hannah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I was trying to get Hannah out, but I was on mute.
Yeah. Yeah, so house is a way of life, and I'm still living it down here in Dallas. So.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So we have a few minutes left before we take our quick break. So is there anything that we didn't touch on, or any of the questions that we just went through that you didn't get an opportunity to address before that? So there was a question that was asked, and Dr. Davis, you kind of mentioned it, but the question was, have you guys seen an increase in Black clients coming into therapy?
Yes.
Yes.
You know, what's funny about that is that my administrative assistant, with everything that's going on, she has been making sure that my clientele has been nothing but Black men. So I'm loaded with Black men on my caseload because of the importance of everything that's going on in this country with everything. And this, of course, not to dismiss the ladies in any way, but with everything that's going on, she has found it pertinent that we make sure that we give this opportunity, because as we all know, it's very difficult for Black men to reach out for help. So anytime anybody calls my office that's a Black man, they're getting booked automatically. It's great. I love it. And it goes to the point to show that we are definitely in need, and we are reaching out, you know, and the fact that they are not alone is one of the biggest components that I try to share with them through this era that we're going through, because this is something that, you know, that's going to be in history books for sure.
Yeah.
Last week, I think it was last week, Megan, if I'm wrong, correct me, Kevin out of South Holland, Illinois, said that his practice has now been all males.
Right, yes.
Only has Black men, and he didn't have that before the George Floyd. And so I think we're seeing a lot of Black male clinicians who are seeing a surge of Black men in their office. And that's really good, because that's not something we've seen before.
Yes, it is awesome. And it helps the women who love them too.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
And the children who they parent.
Oh, yes.
So that makes it worth it.
Long time overdue.
So we will take a quick 5-minute break just so everybody can kind of stretch. Just turn off your camera and sound and then come right back. I usually bring us into some kind of music or something, but we'll be back. It's just so we can stretch because we've all been at these computers all day. So we want to make sure that we are taking care of our people. So we'll see you guys back at 8:05 sharp.
Ready.
I don't know what's happening over there, Megan. I was like, does she have an automatic screen?
I just have it covered because if I turn my camera off, I think it kicks us all off. The last time I tried that.
It was moving on its own. Oh.
Yep, we're still live. Everybody's probably looking at us like, hey.
Ask questions if you have any. These are all licensed clinicians social workers, LPCs, psychologists, counselor educators. Really good group of people to ask if you have specific mental health questions.
What she said.
I know.
Colon.
Since we were talking about race, let's stay woke.
Good segue into the next question.
Yes. We'll give everybody a couple of minutes to get back, and then we'll let you go into that.
So Dr. Guy, are you in Chicago?
No.
Oh.
No. No. No, I can't see Chicago right now because of COVID.
Is it a hot spot?
No.
It's Chicago.
No.
No, it's not a hot spot.
Well, I can't be, I don't want to be around my parents.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take any chances. So.
Yeah.
Plus, y'all got feds coming in soon, and I don't want to be there for that.
I have a, yeah.
I don't want to be there for that. Oregon, where are they at now in Portland? Is that where they are now?
Yeah, I think they left Portland today, though.
I think he just done his move or something. He just power struggling.
And Chicago not going to be like Portland. Chicago not going to be like, okay, no.
Right.
Right. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good.
All right. Should we start?
I think Renee should be coming back. And Chima, I think we know that she had to leave early.
Yes.
So I'm glad we were able to get her information. If anybody is interested in contacting her, she did put that out earlier at the start of the show, but she did have to leave. She's on Eastern time, so it's pretty late. But we do appreciate that she joined us. And for, again, all of you guys, because Dr. Davis, you're in Atlanta, so you're on Eastern time too, so it's late for you as well. We appreciate that. As we segue back in, I do have another question for you guys. So as of, am I the only one who has no idea what the days are or even the dates anymore?
It's Wednesday the 29th.
Thank you. Okay, Wednesday the 29th. As of Wednesday the 29th, have you guys dealt with clients who are struggling with how to have the conversation? So before we took the break, we were talking about things that we are doing as clinicians to take care of ourselves and possibly things that clients can do. But there seems to be individuals are struggling with how to have conversations about what we're seeing in society. In fact, right after the George Floyd, my department, which is full of counselor educators, everyone has a PhD, and they couldn't have the conversation. They were not able to talk about what we're experiencing. And so even the conversation of how to deal with microaggressions kind of left people stumped. So what would you say to individuals who may be listening, who are thinking, I'm tired of my coworkers looking at me, expecting me to have the answers? Or how do I deal with microaggressions that before I may have normalized and it didn't bother me, but now I have a heightened sensitivity to it. So what do I do with that? I know I probably said a mouthful.
Well, I can start. I've talked to a number of people, Black folks who are still struggling with all of this. And one of the aspects of the situation that has caused some more frustration, like you said, Dr. Guy, about other individuals coming to them, wanting them to explain situations or provide some type of rationale or treat them as a representative, for all Black Americans. And they have expressed to me that they feel exhausted. Right. They don't feel obligated to engage in those type of conversations. So I encourage people to do what makes them feel best. You don't have to participate in those conversations. You don't have to provide answers to people. I, for example, have learned to suggest to people to go do their own research, and I can provide them with some resources. But having that conversation over and over and over again can be really exhausting. The topic that I hear people are exhausted talking about is the Confederate statues in particular right now, as a number of them are coming down, and all of that's tied into George Floyd and some of the outcome of some of the protests. But I express to people, if you don't feel it or you don't want to, why should we accommodate other individuals to talk about this topic that you're not ready to talk about, or you just don't feel like it, or you're just trying to have a good day taking care of you, and somebody comes along and messes it up, asking you, what do you think about those statues? Don't you think that's wrong? So I encourage people to own their own feelings and express how they feel, even if they do not want to talk about it.
Thanks, Dr. Davis. Anyone else?
Ashley, you're unmuted. You want to say something?
I was unmuted and didn't even realize it, but yeah, I'll chime in. I think, the big part around everybody has the kind of obligation or kind of the self-advocacy for, to do your own research. No one's obligated to explain why things are the way they are, or why, especially to pinpoint one person for a whole group of people. And then, also thinking about the intersectionality, like I feel it, as a Black woman, as several other Black women on here right now, and kind of before you know it, you're the spokesperson or the person to speak around how Black women feel. As I said, with Breonna Taylor, with that case being right here in my city, I've had a lot of conversations with people where, like I said earlier, where, sometimes we have to step away because we have to manage our own, emotions. And so sometimes when it's emotionally charged conversation, we all say or go there, to places based off of that emotion. But for me, myself, doing my own research for myself, because there's a lot of things that we know, but when it comes down to these topics and these situations that are so emotionally charged, that hit so close to home, you kind of forget what you know sometimes in that moment. And so then when you're faced with it from other people, whether they're microaggressions or maybe even people who have, good intentions, it can kind of be overwhelming. And so, I kind of went on a book splurge and spent way too much money on a lot of books, and have been reading, and just that has helped me kind of ground myself around what I already knew to be true. But sometimes you feel like you're second guessing yourself when those situations or those conversations arise. I just finished So You Want to Talk About Race, and I was just, loving that from front to back. And so encouraging other people to know that, we are all in this system and dealing with this, whether we want to or not, whether we benefit from it or not. And so we better get used to talking about it, but also being empathetic and understanding and respectful to others who experience it on a day-to-day that you may or may not experience. So that's kind of been what I have seen and dealt with, and kind of helped with my own self and processing what's going on.
Thank you, Ashley.
Good question, Dr. Guy. So many of you said that you are, your practices are full, or the capacity that you have available is full. So how are you networking in your areas to refer people out? Or are you referring people out, or you keep making your appointments further apart? Like, how are you handling the volume of appointments? Because it seems like everybody has had an increase with whatever population they see.
I think platforms like this have been really helpful. Like, I don't conduct therapy right now at all. And so I've been getting a lot of messages on Facebook, through social media. Oh, Matera, Dr. Wright, do you know a therapist in Louisiana? Or do you know somebody in Texas? Do you know a Black male therapist in the Houston area? And because of like going through different schools and trainings and people that I've run into, and some of the spaces like this, I can say, oh yes, I know there's Dr. So-and-so, or this LPC in this location. And because they're able to do telehealth, even though they may not be in Houston, this person is in Dallas and they provide telehealth services. So I think COVID-19 has produced this unique situation where in the medical fields, people have been doing telehealth for years, but for some reason it was seen as taboo or less than in the mental health field. And now these insurance companies and different therapists have been exposed to, oh, this is a tool where I can actually reach out and provide services to people who may not have been able to make it into my area. And so I've been asking a lot of my friends, hey, I know we've all moved around in the past few years, let me know where you're at. And so I keep a running list of people that I know and what their credentials are and where they are. And I make referrals that way, even though I'm not doing therapy right now.
Awesome. That's good. Anybody else? How are you guys handling the volume?
I actually do space my sessions out. I'm actually a new mother right now, so balancing motherhood and limited or part-time private practice, working from home, has been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness for telehealth, though. It's very accessible to a lot of my clients. But definitely spacing them out a bit. Again, I'm a new mother, so not doing during nap time.
Right.
You know, nap time, letting her rest so that I can prepare. And I do find myself sometimes referring out to other clinicians here in Houston. Most of the time, my referrals are because a client may say that they want a male therapist, or a client may say that they want couples therapy, and I don't provide couples therapy, so mostly for those reasons. But I do space mine out and refer.
I do the same as well, space them out, or I'll refer them. I don't have, I want to have a listing, a resource list where I can refer people, which I don't have. I wish I had, but a lot of times I will space them out, and I will send them to Psychology Today, of course, goodtherapy.org, things like that. And even some of them, most of them have insurance. And so they just go back to their insurance companies and try to find someone in the area.
Those of you who weren't doing telehealth before, did you find any resistance from your clients on switching into telehealth, or are they starting to be resistant?
No, I didn't have any problems.
I did. I had a lot of my clients just basically tell me, I'll wait till it's all over. They, you know, my clients who are like 40 and up, they were uncomfortable with it, didn't want to try it. I set it up easy for them. So my clientele dropped for a few weeks, and then it picked up heavily. And I had to recognize my own limitations with handling everything myself personally. So I stopped taking new clients. I actually take an extra day off more than I usually do, because we're all dealing with this. I have
Right.
a kid at home, no summer camp, with no place to
School is
go.
about to start.
Yeah, school's about to start, but no movie theaters, can't go to the mall, so I had to take care of things like that at home so that I can be better prepared for my clients at work. So I intentionally lowered my caseload to make sure I'm better prepared for everybody who comes through the door.
Yes, good point.
I've noticed some resistance from some of my clients, just like Dr. Davis mentioned. Some of my clients who are over like 40 and older, they're like, no, I don't want to do it, but I do find that a lot of my mid-age clients love it because they don't have to sit in traffic trying to get to me. And they get to sit on their living room couch and have snacks while we, talk. But I have found that some of my teenagers are not able to share openly because, of course, mom is down the hall and she can hear everything that's being said. And these are existing clients. So when they were able to share more openly because mom would drop them off and go run an errand, they're not able to do so. So my clientele had reduced because of that as well.
Interesting.
For the court referrals, occasionally some of the attorneys have given some pushback as far as like, will this evaluation be just as valid or just as defensible in court as one that was done in person? But been able to answer those questions and of course, talk about how you'll speak to that in the evaluation. And if you need to testify to it, you will. So that's how we've gotten around some of that. And we've also tried to make some accommodations. But of course, for cognitive testing, it makes it a little bit more difficult since you can't manipulate blocks and things remotely.
Interesting. So go ahead, Dr. Guy. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask if someone is viewing, because clients or potential clients will often ask, how do I find a good therapist? And obviously I say that you have to select a therapist based on your needs. And so you don't have to just go to the first therapist that your insurance company sends you to. So if someone was viewing this, they were potentially thinking about seeing you in the future, what should they expect to experience by being one of your clients?
I guess I'll go first. My clients would expect, would understand that this is a no judgment zone. I always say that when they come in my office or now on my screen, this is Vegas. So what goes on here stays here. And you can say it how you want to say it. Everything is, of course, genuine. I'm going to be open and supportive and provide, comfort for them to share. I lost my second point. I'm sorry. I was going and I missed it.
It's okay.
When I think of it, I'll get back on, but I would just say that. This is Vegas. This is Vegas. Say it how you want to say it. Let's have a good time. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it. I like the Vegas analogy. I think that's really important because people recognize Vegas so much, what happens there stays there. So definitely, I think they can expect to be able to be in a safe place, where they can express their thoughts and feelings. That's one of the main things. And be able to have an opportunity to create a relationship, not only with me, but also with themselves. That they might not have had before, and just really be able to challenge some particular thoughts that might have been hindering to them in the past. So really just focusing on what we can do to help them to live a better, healthy life as a whole.
I'd say, you know, right now, outside of my full-time job, which will be starting back next week, I work for the school system. So I'm not currently taking clients, but when working with families and children, I always, you know, kind of let them know that they're the drivers, they're the pilots, and I'm just kind of the co-pilot, you know. So their goals and their focus and the things that they want to help create change within themselves is totally up to them, and I'm just here to help them navigate to get to where they want to go. And that it's a judgment-free zone, kind of like the Vegas analogy, but it's a judgment-free zone. And, you know, what stays in here will be between us, unless it's, of course, something to harm yourself or someone else and all of that. But that they're the pilots, and that I'm here just to kind of help them get to where they want to go as far as their goals. So that's kind of what I say up front, and building that rapport too, I think is really, really important, because if a person doesn't trust you, it's going to be hard for the therapeutic process to happen. So really focusing on just getting to know each other and building a very positive, you know, therapeutic relationship is kind of like the main focus and what I try to do with clients initially.
Thank you. Anybody else want to share? What would the experience be like?
Well, for me,
Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So for me, basically, of course, the whole no judgment at all. For one, especially when they come to me about some sexual issues, there's enough anxiety just going to therapy, period. But when you're talking about something as sensitive as and as private as your sex life, that can cause even more anxiety. So the one thing I would say is that just know that we'll talk about your sexual history. I got a whole bunch of questions about your sexual history. There is no physical contact. I just have to make sure people understand that. I will not be performing any sexual acts, nor would you be performing any sexual acts at all. I have had my share of creepy callers for sex therapy, and I'm catching on right away with the calls. It's like when they say a certain thing, I'm like, what is, my politeness goes away, right, and I'm more stern and like, look, what is it that what you're looking for is not me. You need to call somebody else, or politely, you may need to find somebody else in your area who provides those services. That is not me. So I have done that several times with the calls that I get, or there's this long silence. Okay, so pretty much I just hang up. I'm not even waiting for them to respond. I can tell if someone's anxious versus just nothing. And if it was really anxiety, maybe they'll call me back, maybe they won't. That's the chance that I take. But when I say no judgment, that is no judgment when it comes to that, and that things do stay in that office. And I am kind of, I tell clients right away, I have a way of making it easier for them to talk about sex, because I throw some humor in a sense, because I just use humor as part of my therapy anyway, even with sex therapy. And it eases that anxiety, and it makes them, quite a few of them, feel more comfortable talking about it. And so it just comes on out. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that was going on. But with the humor, it just kind of comes out that way. And I tell my clients at the beginning, as far as what my role is, to provide you some tools. Because the way I see it, everybody's walking around with a tool belt, and whatever tools you have on there is what you pull out. I'm going to give you some more. Now, if you go out there and pull out a hammer when it should be a screwdriver, okay, we got to talk about some more stuff, because that's when things go wrong. And with that rapport, is like at the end of my sessions, especially with new clients, I'll ask them, okay, do you plan on coming back? And they kind of look at me like, we may not be a good fit. You may not have felt that this was a good fit for you. So do you plan on coming back? Or I said, you might not be a good fit for me. I said, so it's more of a, what are we going to do here? And they end up coming back. So they schedule and come back. And so that is pretty much what to expect that first session when you come to my office.
Thanks, Renee. You mentioned that you remind clients that you might not be a good fit or that they might not be a good fit for you. And I think individuals need to hear that, because oftentimes, even if they're using an EAP benefit, they think that they're locked into seeing that one person, even if they're not a good fit, even if they don't like them. They'll go 2, 3, and 4 sessions and say, I really didn't get anything out of it. So I'm really glad that you said that people know that it doesn't feel right. If you're not comfortable, if you don't think that you're going to be able to do the work with this particular person, don't come back. Don't schedule another appointment. So thank you for making that statement. Did anybody else want to respond to that question?
Yeah, I'll respond. I agree totally. That's one of the first things that I try to make clients comfortable in saying that we may not be a good fit. So let's try this. Let's see if we can build rapport, trust, things like that. So I totally agree with that, that I may not be a good fit for you. You may not be right for me as well. But one of the things with clients that I like to do is I have a lot of clients that come with depression. And so one of the things that off the bat, we're talking about what you can expect in your counseling sessions, some psychoeducation, just laying out what we're going to do to learn about depression, some psychoeducation, as I said. And I always tell them we're going to build a room of arsenal of techniques, strategies, and tools and techniques that we can use when you're not in front of me. So when you're at home or on the job or with your kids and you're feeling depressed, what can you use? What coping skill, what strategy, what techniques can you use when you're not in front of me? So we build a room of arsenal, we plan goals and, homework and things like that. And that's part of the psychoeducation piece. And I also tell clients that I'll be your hope and I'll be your socialization until you're able to do that, or until you're able to love on whoever you need to love. So pretty much like standing in the gap for the individual until they're able to do that. So they understand that. So it's more of a supportive. And I think someone said that I'm walking along with you. I'm not doing the work. I'm not lifting for you, but we're lifting together. So, I make it clear, make all that clear to them.
Thank you. So a little bit earlier, Tucker, you mentioned that you don't do couples, but I think Dr. Davis, you mentioned you do couples. So this is for anyone who sees couples. COVID tested individuals in their relationships. And because we're still in this right now, it's still testing individuals in their relationships. So what would you say to individuals who are contemplating seeking out therapy, assist them with marriages or relationships at this time?
So you want to know what would we say to those individuals who are seeking out marital counseling? I encourage them to seek it out. Whether you come with your partner or not, you can still come into counseling to explore some of your own personal issues, gain some insight, or figure some things out on your own. If you want to, it's wonderful when the partner shows up. But I invite the couples to come into counseling. Sometimes they want to come individually, at the beginning sometimes. Or there are other times I realize that perhaps I need to work with one of those individuals by themselves for a few sessions, and then we can pull the couples back together. But I always welcome the couples to come in. More recently, over the phone, when I decide to accept a client, I always ask them, have they been tested? That is new. And I let them know that I've been tested twice. And both times came back negative, but I'm just taking some precautions. And so they really appreciate me asking that question and then me revealing my test results to them as well, and when I took the COVID-19 test. But I welcome all the couples to come on in.
So Dr. Davis, are you seeing clients in the office now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I started about 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
Half of them are coming in, and the younger ones want to continue telemental health.
Okay. Anybody else who these couples? What would you say to those individuals? One else sees couples?
I do.
It's not. Oh,
Yes, I do. As far as like I'm with Dr. Davis, you know, just come on in and or dial on up, as if you're doing the telehealth. A lot of times I will get one of the partners before I see the couple. And most of the time it's the wife. She'll come in first and then say that, well, he said I needed the help. It's my fault. So it's more so trying to encourage him to come in maybe for one session just to see if he wants to continue as a couple. So again, I just say, come on in. Whether it's one of you or the both of you. If you start out with the both of you, we want to finish with the both of you. So yeah, just come.
Okay. And you're still doing telehealth, Renee?
Yes, I do telehealth, individuals and couples. It's kind of cute when they're just sitting there on the couch, which is, you know, it's interesting watching them on the screen, and you pretty much get a full a view of their life, so to say. So maybe just with them being in their home, they're a little bit more comfortable, and versus sitting on the couch in the office. And you can see how they interact with one another more freely in home. A lot of times in the office, when they, let's say if someone has an argument in my office at that time, that's just a snippet of how things are in the home. And so when I'm able to see them and how they're interacting with one another in the home, it's a different experience. And with the whole telehealth is new to me. So it's all just a different way of looking at things. And I think the couples are, like I say, they're more comfortable when they're at home, it seems.
Thanks, Renee. Anybody else?
so we are not quite to the end, but we usually like to review in the second part of the program to let everybody talk about their, how to get in touch with them, their social media, their contact, upcoming events, different activities you're doing. So just to make sure that everybody can follow, you know, because they might not have been on the first part of the program. And then we also like to give everybody a last word. So we have somewhere around like 20 minutes. So if you guys want to kind of go around and tell us again about how to reach you, what you have coming up, and I'll come back and ask you your last words. You can just give everybody, tell us your info and then give last words. But you have to share the time that's left.
Okay, well, I'll go first because I'm probably one of the few ones that don't have much of the social media.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
You know, I don't have the Instagram
I have been trying to get Scott to get just a Facebook page for like 5 years.
It helps. It helps.
And you know what? And that I want to be intentional, as somebody mentioned earlier, because I don't want to put too much out there, because I do agree that it will help, and I think it might help might overproduce that things that I can't produce at this particular time. But it could very well bring about some exposure to therapy just in general. So I will definitely revisit that. But as I mentioned earlier, for those who didn't get a chance to hear, my name is Scott Davis. I am a licensed professional counselor with a practice over here in downtown Dallas. Let's see, I see children, adolescents, and couples. Excuse me, not couples, children, adolescents, and adults. I leave the couples to the rest of you guys. But let's see, the way that I can be contacted, you can check me out through my email, my website, which is www.scottdavislpc.com. That's www.scottdavislpc.com. And that should have all of the information that you need, as well as on Psychology Today and I think a couple of other platforms as well that you can get in contact with. Once again, I want to thank you guys for allowing me to be on this platform and be with these wonderful professionals as well. And I guess my signing off word would be one that many have probably heard before, is that you are not alone, and we are here to help. And so I just want to definitely be of service to anybody who comes into my office, or even if you don't come into my office, if I see you on the street, I still want to be of service to you. So,
are you taking supervisees?
No, not at this moment. Not at this moment, but eventually I probably will. I'm kind of like in the the mix with Dr. Davis and taking additional days, because this is a time for self-care for all people, not only therapists, but everybody, for self-care. So I'm trying not to overload myself with too many responsibilities, because I want to be effective in the things that I'm doing now, currently.
God, can I ask you one more question? What forms of payment do you accept?
Oh, okay. So yeah, this is a great one. So I do accept insurances. I'm on the majority of them, the big ones: Blue Cross, Cigna, Aetna, United Healthcare, and I think a few other EAPs. Cash. We also do cash payments as well. Let's see. Are there any others that I might be missing?
EAP. Do you take EAPs?
Yeah, I am on the EAPs as well too. I guess maybe I'll start a GoFundMe as well too pretty soon. So no, I'm just messing with you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you guys. You guys have a wonderful evening.
You don't have to log off. We still have to go to everybody else, so don't sign completely off.
Okay. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten.
So that's why you went first. You're like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm trying to eat. I'm done talking to y'all.
Who would like to go next? Isn't it? Ain't this about a group full of quiet therapists? I ain't never.
I'm trying to monitor my extrovert side, so I don't want to overpower everybody, but I can go next because I could talk all night. But
don't feel bad, Dr. Davis. I can too. I have to rein it in at all times. But actually, both of us, we force ourselves to be quiet.
Yes, that's what I've been doing. But I'm Dr. Harrison Davis out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a professor at the University of North Georgia, the counseling department. And I also have a private practice in Atlanta. And also, I didn't mention this earlier, I co-host a internet-based radio show called Two Therapists and a Microphone. So I do this a lot. I co-host a show with Dr. Aisha Dickerson. So you guys can find me at harrisondavis.com and also twotherapists.com. And we're also on a number of social media platforms. Scott, I could talk to you afterwards about the benefits of social media, because I joined the bandwagon maybe 2 years ago, and it is really helpful for your practice. So it depends on your purpose for having the social media outlets. But one of the things that I do, I see adults, much more of a generalist, so I don't have any specializations that are out there. I just work with a lot of people with mood disorders and trying to make decisions in their life and trying to improve their life. But this year, I use a term that I use as a theme for this year, and I encourage people to embrace, empower, and evolve. That's embrace yourself, who you are, empower yourself to get what you want to get out of life, and also to evolve to become the person that you want to become, the person who you were meant to become. So I like to help individuals to accomplish all of those goals. And I sort of use that nice little catchphrase to help people to understand what they can expect from me throughout the counseling process.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. And what forms of payment do you accept?
I take all of them. I'm on all the major insurance panels. I'm on a few EAP panels. I'm getting off some of the EAP panels. They're not paying me what I believe I am worth. I don't know if others of you guys are experiencing
agreed.
that. And so, yeah, it's barely covering my office rent. So I do mainly insurance payment and cash payments, and I use PayPal a lot. I have Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. So whatever the client wants to use, I've set up those accounts to make it easy for them.
What are your last words?
Embrace, empower, and evolve. That's what I encourage people to do, and interpret those terms the way you want to. But as long as you're becoming the person who you were meant to become.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, there's Renee.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. Yeah, so Renee Hunter, LPC supervisor, and I have the practice in Irving, as I mentioned, well, with telehealth basically right now. You can find me on Instagram at Sex Therapy BBC, or my webpage, which is breathebalancecounseling.com, and also Facebook. I think you just put in Breathe Balance Counseling and I should pop up. Also, I've been working on something as far as like this podcast thing that's been kind of sitting back a little bit because I keep hearing people say you have that calm, serene voice. I'm like, well, let me put that voice out there so people can hear more of it. So working on that kind of, yeah, I have to take the leap of faith and just go ahead and put it out there. And I think, what else was the other question as far as?
Forms of payment?
Forms of payment, yes. Insurance, as far as like Blue Cross Blue Shield, who else? Stigma, Magellan, EAPs, I'm on some EAPs as well, and cash. Cash pay is always good. And this last words, wow. I would say the last words is find balance, find yourself. So basically, get yourself straight, then you'll be able to find yourself.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renee.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Ashley Downs from Louisville, Kentucky. I am a certified social worker, certified Kentucky school social worker, currently working on my licensed clinical social worker, LCSW. And not taking any clients right now, but definitely open for doing any psychoeducation around trauma-informed care, anxiety, depression, mood, instability, and anger with youth. So I'm a mental health practitioner at our local school district, work with children and adolescents, and also do crisis and advocacy work with survivors of intimate partner violence and sexual assault. So find me on social media for just information, tips, resources in regards to whole person wellness, health and wellness, fitness, and the importance of taking care of our whole person. So got my handles: Instagram, A Mentality Health and Wellness, Facebook is Zumba with A Downs, and YouTube, A Mentality Health and Wellness. And I guess my final word is just, everyone's got mental health, and there's no health without mental health. So we all have to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves.
Thank you very much, Ashley.
Thank you.
All right.
Good evening again. My name is Lashon Tucker. I am a licensed professional counselor. I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor intern. I live here in Houston, Texas, specifically in Humble. So I am I am accepting clients by way of telehealth. I can be found, the name of my practice is Victory Coaching Center. So I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Victory Coaching Center. I can be reached directly on my work number at 346-298-1720. I am working with adolescents and adults, specifically anger, anxiety, depression, substance abuse, life transition, stress. What else am I supposed to mention? Oh, I take most insurances. I'm kind of like Dr. Davis. We accept everything. I accept payments right now by way of telehealth through the Square. So Square, enter your debit information and I can accept payments that way. So most insurance providers and most EAPs. My last few words would be self-care, self-care, self-care. Find something that you enjoy and do it daily, whatever that is. Find something that you enjoy after a long day and wind down. Thank you.
Thanks, Lashawn.
Okay, my name is Winifred Bradshaw. I have a practice in Chicago. I'm a LCPC, and I do work with persons with mood disorder, depression, anxiety, emotional intelligence, things like that. I'm on most of the insurance panels. I take all of their services, Medicaid as well as private pay, PPO, HMO, Stigma, Optum, United Health, just different ones that I have that I'm on their panel. What else? I have a website. You can find me on Psychology Today. I have a website, Breathe with Winifred. Also Facebook at Breathe with Winifred. You can find me there as well. I have a limited practice. I do work in my community. She's laughing. Yeah, I'm going to use that. I stole that one. So, and I work at my community hospital on the psych unit, a women's psych unit. And so I also have a background in mental illness, excuse me. And what else? I take all forms of payment, pretty much the insurance companies. So you link all of that up. So I take any form of payment. That's about it. Am I missing anything? I think that's it.
Your closing words.
Oh, my closing words. When it gets too difficult, breathe. When it's still difficult, breathe again and keep breathing. You can't go any further, breathe and keep breathing.
Get down.
All right. My name is Dr. Matera Wright. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist in Chicago, Illinois. Currently, my specialty is forensic work. So I work with Cook County Juvenile Court Clinic, providing court-ordered evaluations. So basically, I do psychological evals and help judges make legal decisions. I can be reached on social media. You can just look up Dr. Matera Wright or Maddie_87. And also I'm on LinkedIn if you just want to know more information about just mental health in general, or if you want to learn more about what forensic psychology is. Any last words? I would say this: the mind and body are connected, right? So you don't have to wait until something is wrong to seek therapy, just like you don't have to wait until something is wrong to see your medical doctor. So if your mind's not at its best, or if you're struggling in that area, your body's not going to be at its best. You're not going to feel at your best. So seek therapy and counseling just if everything is going okay. On the forensic tip though, if you or your family member finds yourselves in some type of legal situation and you're aware that your family member or yourself are struggling with some mental health issues, I know we don't like to tell people when things are going on, but talk to your attorney. You won't believe how many people I've come into contact with in forensic state hospitals or just in detention center or in prisons where the case might have turned out a lot differently if somebody knew or if their lawyer was able to advocate for them because of some of the mental health issues. And don't be afraid to advocate for yourself no matter what your legal situation is.
Thank you, Dr. Wright.
Yeah.
So again, I've probably said this 1,000 times, but I want to say it again. Thank you all for joining us. 2 hours is a lot of your time at the end of your day. It's a long day for each and every one of you. So for all of the viewers that were watching, they appreciate it. We appreciate it. We appreciate the service that you do. We hope that you continue to take care of yourself so that you can continue to take care of the clients and patients that you serve. So as we prepare to close out, for those of you, if you want to contact me, you can find me on all social platforms at Dr. Tanisha Guy on Instagram, Dr. Tanisha Guy on my YouTube page, Dr. Tanisha Guy on my Facebook page. And on Sundays, I host a blog talk radio show called Dr. Guy's Gumbo Talk, where we talk about any and everything related to life. And I am not seeing new clients at this time, but if you are looking for a good counselor, you can give me a call because I know a ton of them. So if you do happen to call my office, it's 972-630-TALK. I can definitely get you connected to an awesome therapist. Megan. Oh, right. I forgot. The website is 100kcounselor.com. Almost forgot about that.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Once again, I'm Megan Pickens. I'm in private practice in Arlington, Texas. You can find me online on all social media platforms at Where in the World is Megan. It's spelled out WITWISMEGAN. My last words are really random. We've been talking about music all the time. And so I'm one of those people that when I hear something, it makes me think of lyrics. And so I think it was Renee, she said cash. And the first thing that came to my head was cash rules everything around me in Method Man's voice. So that's what I'm ending with. I know it's random. Sorry. Our next show will be spread out this time. We're going to move it to, we're not ending it, but we're moving it to once a month to kind of give people a chance to plan better and be able to appear. And so our next one will be on August 26th at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Those of you who have been on here, make sure you share it with your friends and your colleagues and let them know about the show, especially if they're just starting out, because I think it's been a great way to provide referrals because a lot of us are not taking new people. I could not take new people because I'm booked until September. So I think now I'm going to say that I'm going to shut it down for a minute. So I think most of us are full. And so if you know people who want to grow their practice, tell them about the show. And
my closing, which, I say it every week.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to say it this week, wear a mask every time you leave the house. And the life. Yeah.
Thank you everybody for joining us, and have a good night. Oh, and Scott already has on his mask.
Scott is already with his mask. You can go eat now, Scott.
Thank you all so much for having us.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay, I stopped the live stream and you guys can log off while I'm stopping the recording or whatever. If y'all have any last words to say off stage.
Thank you guys so much. You all are awesome.